Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In this video, we will be understanding about relative layout. How relative layout can be used in designing an application, its important properties, and very quickly we will be designing an application using relative layout. So let's see each and everything in detail. Relative layout. As the name suggests, it shows the position of the component relative to each other. The position can be specified with respect to the consecutive elements or to the parent component. It is the most flexible layout that is being provided by Android, and whatever the elements that we will be placing on a screen that will be arranged, that will be placed on the top left of a screen, and then whatever the elements or a child views that we will be placing on a screen, for that child view we have to mention the relation with the first element that we have already placed on the screen. For example, as you can see in the screen 2, which is been displayed over here, the sample text 1 may be the first element that we have placed on the screen. Then the second element that we have placed, for example, sample 2 is the second element that we have placed. So we have mentioned that the relation of sample text 2 with the sample text 1, and we have mentioned the relation that it has to be below of sample text 1. Similarly, when we have placed this sample text 3 on a screen, we have mentioned the relation with the first element that is been placed, that is what sample text 1, and we have mentioned the relation in the fashion that sample text 3 will be displayed on the right hand side of sample text 1. Okay, so as you can see that in this first screen also, whenever the first element is being placed, so this is the first element which is been placed, and it is been placed on the top left of a screen, and then the second element that will be placed. So we have to mention the second element relationship with the first element. So we will say that second element is at below of first element. Then we will be placing the third element, so it may be text view or it may be button. So we have to mention its relation with this first and the second element that we have already placed. So we will say that it will be on the right hand side of the element 2 and on the bottom or below, it will be below element 1. So when we will be placing now the third element on the screen, we will be saying that it has to be below element 2 and element 3. So in this way we can relate each view with another view or a parent view, and we can design an application. We can also design using a parent layout also, like this is what a parent screen that we will be having, and with relation with this parent screen we can place the element in center, we can place the element in top of the screen, or we can place it in the bottom, on the left, on the right side of a screen. So that can be done in this relative layout. So what we will be doing is that we will be seeing each and every properties of a relative layout in detail. So now what we will be doing is that we will be seeing the properties of a relative layout. So when it comes to a properties of a relative layout, it can be categorized into two parts. First one is what we will be placing an element by comparing it with the parent container, and then a second category is there where we will be placing the element by comparing it with the parent view or some views which are already there in a container. So when it comes to the first property is what layout underscore align parent bottom. By using this property, what we can do, whatever the elements or a view that we want to place in a container. So this is what a container, which is a complete screen that we are having. And when we will be using this particular element, suppose that we want to place a button in this particular screen. So when we are placing a button, we will set its property as align parent bottom equal to true. So that button will be placed at the bottom of a screen. That button will be placed at the bottom of a screen. Okay. So we'll say that this B is the button which is been placed at the bottom of a screen. Similarly, when we'll say a second property, that is what align parent tab. So suppose that the element is over here at this particular section, and when we say that align parent tab, so that element or a button will be placed on the left hand side of a screen. As you can see, next element is what align parent right. So when we will be using this particular property, suppose that again element is over here in this particular row, and when we'll say align parent right, so that button will be placed on the right hand side of a screen. Next one is what align parent top. So when we will be using this property, the element will be aligned on the top of a screen. The next property is center horizontal, and when we will be using this particular property, the view that we are arranging, that view will be arranged in the center, that will be horizontal center. Suppose that our button is at this particular point, and when we will be using this property, the button will be aligned centrally and in horizontal fashion. Similarly, when we will say that center in parent, we are using this property, that is what center in parent. So when we will be using this property, the element will be arranged exactly in the center of a screen. It will be considered vertically as well as horizontally, and the element will be arranged centrally on the screen. Okay. Now when it comes to a center vertical, suppose that your button is over here, and when we will be using this particular property, the button will be arranged centrally and in vertical fashion. Okay, so it will be placed in the center but in a vertical fashion. Next properties are the property of a second category, where the elements which we are placing, that will be placed by relating with some other elements which are already there on a screen. For example, we will consider that in this center of a screen there is one button, say B, and we want to place another button, that is what B1, that we will be placing on a screen. So when we want to place that button, we have to use these properties which are listed on a screen, and we will be relating it with the button which is already placed on the screen, that is what button B. So when I want to place a button and I want to place it above B, so I'll be using this property layout above. So the second button that I'll be placing, that B1, when I'll be using this property, it will be placed exactly above B, so it will be placed over here. Okay, so when I say layout below, so when I say layout below, the button that I want to place, that will be placed exactly below this button B. Okay, so when I say layout to the left of means what? I want a left of button B. So when I'll be using this property, the second button, that B1 that I want to place, that will be placed exactly on the left hand side of a button B. And when I say to the right of, so when I say right of button B, so the next button, that is what button 1, will be placed exactly on the right hand side of B. Okay, so next element is what? align baseline, layout underscore align baseline. So in this particular alignment, in this particular property, the element that we will be placing new will be aligned with the specific element baseline which is previously been placed. For example, when we'll say that this particular button is there with a text sample written in this particular button. So as you can see that the green line which has been drawn over here is the baseline of this particular button, and we want to place a new button, as I can say a new button. So that button will also be placed aligning with the align baseline of the first button which has been already placed. So we will be mentioning that this is, suppose the button 1 is there, and this is button 2. So when button 2 we are placing, we are relating it with a button 1's baseline. So it will accordingly place, and it will be the second button which will be placed, and it will be placed by comparing the baseline of the button B1. So next attribute is what layout underscore align bottom. So when it comes that whatever the element that we will be placing, and we will be relating it with the first element that is there on a screen, and we will be relating it by layout align bottom. So when it is been aligned, suppose that for example B1 is the button which is already placed, and we want to place a second element, that is what button 2, and when it will be placed, it will be considering its bottom, and it will be placed by considering the bottom of that particular button. Okay, so button 2 will be placed, it will start from the bottom of B1 and it will be placed accordingly. So when it comes to align left, so it will be the button that will be placed, it will be placed considering the left side of a button, and the button will start from the left side of a button B1 when we will be relating it with a B1 button, and it will be placed accordingly. So whatever may be the width of that button, or whatever may be the height of the button, it will consider its left alignment only. Next property is what align right. So when we say align right and we want to place a new button, that is what button 2, so it will be considering the right alignment of button B1, and the next button that we want, that will be placed by considering the alignment of B1. So whatever may be the height of a button, it will start from the left of button 1, and then in order to position we have to place one more attribute like a top or below B1 also. Next is what align top. So when it comes to align top, we'll take some another ink. So when it comes to align top, it will start the next button that we want to place, it will start from the top of button B1 if we are relating it with a button B1, and whatever may be the size of a button, it will be displayed accordingly. Then again, as I have mentioned, that we have to mention another attribute with this attribute, like we want to place on a left, top, bottom, below of button B1. So it will be placed, or else when you say top, it will be displayed on that button B1 only. I hope all the attributes are clear to you. Let's start designing an application using relative layout. So we'll open Android Studio now. Okay, so let's start designing with an application using relative layout. So earlier we were discussing about linear layout. So the linear layout code is over here. So what we will do, we will very quickly replace it with a relative layout. So what we need to do is that we need to replace the linear layout with a relative layout. So we have to type RE, as we will be typing RE as the IntelliSense will work, and it will display all the classes and package that start with RE. So we have to select relative layout, and as it is been selected, it is been also changed over here. So what we will be doing is that firstly we will take only one text view, and we will be seeing the first categories of relation, that is what we are relating it with a parent. So parent is this particular screen that we are having. In order to view, in order that you will be seeing the text, what I will be doing is that I'll be increasing the size of this text view. So for that I have to say text size. I say that is okay. I hope now it is being clear to you. Sample text which is there, and we'll say wrap. Okay. In relative layer, it is must that whatever the view that we are using, we know there is no need of orientation on it. So what we have done, we have set the things. So first is what a relative layout, that is what a parent layout that we are using, and in that we have placed a single text view, and we will be now seeing the first category of a relative layout, that is what we are relating it with a parent. So this is the parent screen that we are having, and now we will be relating it with a parent. The first that we will be doing is that we will be aligning to a bottom of a screen. So in order to align it with the bottom of a screen, so what we'll say, layout align parent bottom, and we have to say it as true. So when we will say true, as you can see that it is been placed at the bottom of a screen. So this we are relating it with a parent that we are having. Next one that I'll be doing is that I'll be aligning it with a top, parent top. I want to display at the top of the screen, so I'll say that a parent top. Parent top, and set true. Okay, so now it will be displayed at the top. By default, whatever the view that we will be placing, it will be displayed on a top left of a screen, and the next views that we will be displayed, that we need to relate it with the first view that we have placed. Next is what we want to display to a parent right. So we'll say parent, and we'll say right. Again it will be true, so it will be displayed on a right hand side of a screen. So when we'll say left, by default also it is left, so it will be like parent left, so it will be displayed on the left hand side of a screen. And now what I want to do is that I want to display the thing in a center. Horizontally I want to display it at the center of a screen. So I'll say that horizontal, center horizontal, layout as center horizontal, and I have to say true. So it will be displayed in a center of a screen. Again I have to say center vertical. Again vertically it will be placed in the center of a screen. Okay, now I want to place exactly middle of a screen, vertically as well as horizontally I want to place in the middle of a screen. So I'll say center in parent. So it will be directly placed in the center of a screen. So horizontally also as well as vertically, it is been placed in the center of a screen. So now what we have seen, that whatever the views that we have placed, that we have related it with the parent screen, and then we have placed it over here. The next thing that we need to place is that we need to place some view, and then the next view that we will be placing, that view has to be related with the parent view that we have been placed over here. Okay, so it will be like first and the most important thing when we are relating it with a view in order to design an application, the first and the most important thing that we have to do is that we have to give an ID to each and every view that we are placing over here. So we'll set T1 over here, okay, and we will say sample text 1. Okay. In order to identify, what I'll do, I'll give a background color, background, and say red. Okay, background color I have given a red. Okay, now what I am doing is that I am duplicating it. So ID should always be unique. So earlier we have put T1, so now we have placed T2 for text view second that we have placed, and now we have to relate this T2. The first text that we have placed will be placed exactly at the top left, and the second text that we will be placing, that we need to relate it with the first, which is the parent view that we have placed. So in order to relate, suppose that I want to place on the right hand side of the view that I have placed earlier, so I'll say to right of, and I have to select the ID so that we are relating it with the T1 text view. So I'll say T1. So now it is been displayed on the right hand side. In order to identify, I am giving a green color to a text 2. So we can see that it is been displayed on the right hand side of a text 2. Now I want to display below it. So what I'll do, I'll say below, layout below of T1, relating it with the T1 text 2. So now it has been displayed below of text 1. So another text view I want to place beside text 2. So what I'll do, again I am copy pasting the same thing. Copy pasting the same thing. I will give blue color to this text view, and I will rename it as T3. So now I want to place this T3 beside T2. So what I have to do is that it is below T1, that's correct. Then we have to mention another relation, that is a relation with T2, that will be like right to the right of T2. Okay, so now what we have done, we have placed text 3 below text 1, and it is on the right of T2. Okay, it is clear to you all, my friends. I hope you have enjoyed, and all the queries related to relative layout are being solved. Stay connected with us for more videos on Android. Thank you.